Welcome friends to Farm Fresh Designs 59. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you're returning, thank you so much for your support. In today's video, I've got several containers that you can use for florals, and then I've got something just a little extra special. So today I'm going to start with my extra special thing. Now, if you look up in the left-hand corner, there's one of those little metal tins that I've used before in my videos to decorate and make like little scenes. And right now it's a mossy green. Well, it's not going to stay that way. So we're just going to pretend that it's not there, and then in a minute you're going to see it and it's painted white. But for right now, we're going to get started on the inside of it. And this is a stamp from the IOD Portobello Road, and it's just the brick stamp. And I'm just stamping it on a white napkin with StazOn brown ink. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp up right much of this napkin because I want to make sure that I have enough for the inside top cover of this box. Now, I could stamp directly on it, but I might mess up. So to me, it's just easier for me to stamp this napkin. So I'm starting off by putting some Mod Podge on the inside up at the top, and I'm just going to lay that first part of the napkin down and just really gently put it down. And then you'll be seeing me use like a little piece of cellophane wrap, and as I work my way down on that napkin, I just very gently press it with that, and that helps to get most of the wrinkles out. And then I will trim off those extra pieces in just a little bit. On the bottom part, I'm only painting the bottom part with Dixie Belle Paint Blue because that's going to kind of mimic the color of the sky before I actually add my scenery to it. Now, I did not get the tape of me putting that little piece of rice paper up at the top, and it's a window with a flower box on top, and it's got daisies. Now, down at the bottom, this is just some moss green that I bought at the Hobby Lobby, I think. And then this is just a little piece of white picket fence that I got at Hobby Lobby in like the little dollhouse section. And these are some little daisy flowers, and I'm just trimming them off to where they'll fit down right back behind that fence. And they're daisies as well. And I'm using Titebond Thick and Quick. And I think later on, after I get all of the daisies put in, I do put a little bit more Titebond down back behind that fence so you won't see it, just to secure it just a little bit more. And I've got it sitting up so that it will stand up while I'm gluing all of these pieces on. And also, I painted the back of that decoupage paper white so that that print of the brick would not kind of come through. Now, that little piece I just put on was just like a little rubber boot that I had just a little teeny floral stuck in it. And this is just a little teeny pot of flowers. So it's just going to be a little garden scene. Well, then I decided I might need some clouds, so I just barely took a little bit of white and made some pretend clouds. And then I'm going to glue two pieces of garden utensils. One is a rake and one is a fork. And I trimmed them down with my little miter scissors just to make them be a little shorter. And I put those on with Titebond Thick and Quick. And that way, I just have my own little mini garden on the inside. So let's get back to the top. The first part of it I didn't end up liking, so I just changed it. So I painted it all white, and I'm using the smaller lattice on the Veranda stamp, and once again, I'm using that brown StazOn ink. Now, this is another piece of rice paper that comes on just a larger sheet, and I'll make sure to link this in the description box below. And I paint the back of it white so that the Veranda stamp won't kind of show through that piece of rice paper. And then I'm going to just put it on with Mod Podge, and then I'm finished. And so once again, up at the top, I've got these canning jars with daisies. And then you open it up, and you're going to have some little daisies back behind a little white picket fence. And then on the inside lid of the box, is going to be a picture of a window that's got some daisies sitting right there at the window. And I just think it turned out so sweet. And this is probably my favorite project today. And I really enjoy making these little mini boxes that you can also use Altoid tins. But these boxes, I get these off of Amazon, and the Altoid tins are just a little bit smaller. So what do you think about this? And I like making these tins and shadow boxes because it's just a project that somewhat even tells like a little story that goes along with it. So have you made any of these little mini tins? So if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already part of our family. So let's keep going on our containers. My second project is just a little wood tote that I thrifted. And for right now, I have not painted it at all. And I'm using different daisies off of the IOD mold called He Loves Me. And I just use some of the bigger ones. I don't think I use the very biggest one, but there's 4 of them that are like medium size and smaller. And then there's also just one little sunflower on this mold. And then there's 2 sizes of leaves. And I make all of these with DOS air dry clay. And I put cornstarch in the mold and then put my clay down. And then I like to wipe over it with the credit card to kind of make it flat on the back. And I'm sorry, a lot of it was out of view. And so I kind of skipped over to the end. And you can see where I like situated all the different flowers and put them on with Titebond Thick and Quick. Now, I started painting all of it white, and my sister called me, and I forgot to turn on my camera, so I apologize for that. So all of this has already been painted white, and so what I've done now is I'm going back with a Rust-Oleum Serenity Blue, which is sort of a duck egg blue, and I'm just going to paint all around those flowers. Now, it takes just a little bit extra time, because I do have to go around all of those edges. But I'm just using a small brush to go around those little detail parts so I don't, paint over on top of those flowers. And then I went back and I painted the whole box after that. But I left the handle white and I left the inside white. Now for the center of those flowers, I'm using Dixie Belle. It's called Rebel Yellow, which is a lighter yellow, to paint the center of those flowers. And then I use that Rebel Yellow to paint the outside of the sunflower. And then the green that I use on the leaves is called kudzu. Now, when I painted these flowers and on the inside, I almost kind of somewhat dry brushed it. I did not paint it fully. I wanted it to look a little bit distressed anyway. Now, on the other side, I'm using the new IOD Conservatory Labels, and I'm using the larger label, and I'm putting it down with Titebond Thick and Quick. And then after it sets up for about 10 or 15 minutes, I will go back and I will paint that white. I'm just going to put it on the center. And then I'm going to be using just a little piece of rice paper that has some florals on it, and it says garden. And I'm going to be decoupaging that right onto that label. And this is the rice paper that I get from Decoupage Central, and that graphic came off that one big sheet. So what do you think about this? I love it. I just think it's so, so sweet. So on my third piece, it changed a lot as I began to work on it. And I don't remember what was on it in the beginning, but I painted it all black. And then I go back later and painted a different color. Now, this mold that I'm using, it looks like a bow, and it came from the IOD Laurel mold. And I'm going to be gluing that up on the top of this little holder that you could use in a kitchen for all sorts of things, or you could use it to put like some faux flowers in it. And I'm gluing it up at the top. And then there's two more little pieces that come with the IOD olive crest mold, and they're the small parentheses. Okay, so I went on and painted the whole thing white, and then I changed my mind. And so I'm painting it with Dixie Belle, and it's called Manatee Gray. And now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding a blue to it. And I believe I used Dixie Belle Yankee Blue. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of brushing this on all around the edges. And then I try to kind of blend it in. Because if you have not watched Brushed by Brandy, she is just amazing. She was my inspiration for this piece. And I am not going to say I'm an expert, but I'm pretty tickled with how this turned out. So as you see, I'm painting it with the gray. And then I've got just a little bit of the blue off to the side that I kind of just dab on those edges. And then I just blend it in so that it just gives that hint of blue around the edges. But now if you've watched Brandy, she is amazing, and she just adds so much detail to the furniture pieces that she does. And so I was pretty tickled with the way that this turned out. It doesn't look like hers at all, but I feel like I was pretty successful with what I wanted it to look like at the end. So I'm going to continue to try this technique just to kind of perfect it just a little bit more. And then I just blend it all in. And then at the end, you just use just enough of that paint. And it doesn't really like mess up the color that you've used on it before. Now I'm just taking a Rust-Oleum linen white and I dab it on the inside. And then I go back with that gray and try to blend that in just a little bit so that it's not quite so bright. And if you see it in person, it is not as white as it looks on camera. But I just love the way this turned out. And I did it over the entire box. And see, when I add that gray, it just takes away that real bright color of that white. So after all of that dried, I'm using a transfer from the IOD, and it's called Traditional Pots. And I had actually put another transfer on there, and then I messed it up. I was so mad at myself because I went outside to spray it with Rust-Oleum sealer, and somebody picked up the can of white spray paint, and I wasn't paying a bit of attention, and I spray painted over it, and I was so mad at myself. So I had to go back and do the process on the front again, and then I used this transfer. But when I finally got ready to put this transfer on it, this time I sprayed it with clear Rust-Oleum sealer, and then I let that dry, and then I put the transfer on it. And then when I put the sealer on it again, I made sure to use the clear sealer, and then I put that white spray paint, I put it up, and I put it back where it should have been so that I wouldn't mess this up again. So it was a lesson learned, but it sure did take a lot of extra effort. Okay, so watch quick because this one will be fast. If you look up in the top corner, there's like a little planter, and I painted it with Rust-Oleum chiffon cream. And this is just a napkin. Lisa from our Shabby Cottage, she used this napkin, I think it was maybe last spring or last fall or sometime. And she bought it off of Amazon. And before she even finished the video, I ordered me some because look at those colors. Are they not just drop dead gorgeous? Wow. So I painted the whole the planter. And then when you use a napkin, a lot of times they have 3-ply. So you need to separate it and get it down to the 1-ply. And then I just use my water pen. And I'm just going to go ahead and go all around all of these flowers. And then go ahead and isolate each one. And then I'm just putting them on with Pent Art Decoupage varnish and glue. And I just put those little florals all around this box. And then that's it. It's so easy. And these flowers just turn out beautiful. And I even put some around the side. And sometimes what I like to do, if you've watched before, I like to put something on the side and then kind of wrap it around just a little bit so that it shows that kind of extending just a little bit more. And then I just go back all over it with Rust-Oleum clear sealer instead of white spray paint and finish it off. And now this planter, well, there's a long story about it, but I won't go into any detail. But let me just tell you this. It's not made out of wood. It's made out of a really heavy cardboard. And there's a reason behind me using this and not putting real flowers in it, because I had 2 of these planters, and when I went to rinse it out to kind of get all that old styrofoam out, that's when I realized that it wasn't wood, it was heavy cardboard. When it fell completely apart, oh, I was so mad at myself because I was so proud of myself when I found 2 of these, and I thought, man, this is such a good buy, and I've got 2 planters for 2 different projects, and then I didn't. So anyway, when you buy planters at the thrift shop, you might want to check ahead of time if you decide to kind of rinse it out with water to make sure that it's wood instead of a heavy cardboard, so that you don't learn that same lesson that I learned. But aren't those flowers so pretty? And it's just pretty with greenery on it. And this could even extend into the fall if you just used some of those darker colors and not maybe put in like the lighter colors. But I love it. Okay, my last project is even easier. This is a box that I got from a friend of mine. She was having an estate sale for a relative, and I bought this box from her. And she told me that these relatives spent a lot of time over in the Asian area of the world. I think she said from Vietnam. And this is just a really neat box. She said she thought that she went to the market and bought chickens and put them inside of this and then took them home. I don't know. But it's just a different kind of box. And all I did was just clean it up really good. I didn't put any paint on it at all. And I have seen some people putting transfers on baskets, just putting them straight on. So I thought, well, might as well try. So this is a transfer set from Redesign with Prima, and it's called Cozy Evening. And I'm just using some of the different flowers on it. And really, the reason I chose these flowers is because I've had this transfer set for a pretty good while. And I thought, I'm just going to go ahead and use it on this basket. So just in case if I mess it up, then, it's just an older transfer, and then I wouldn't feel so bad about it. And then once I transferred it all on, then I just was sitting there talking to my husband one night, and I just actually was pushing those, using my finger to rub those transfers more into that weave of the basket. And if you'll notice up at the top, it's got those 2 little loops, and there's actually a stick that comes along with it that you run through that. So whatever you've got in that basket, once you put that stick through it, it's not coming out. So it's just a very quick little project, but I'm really pleased with the way that it came out. So what do you think about this? And do you know what the reason was for these kind of baskets? Have you seen these kind before? But I was just basing it off of what my friend told me about this basket. So friends, we are at the end of the video already. So I want you to sit back and look at all the little containers that I made that you can use for florals. So friends, if you enjoyed the video today, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel and become part of our family. All right, I have a big announcement. This coming Saturday, June the 1st at 9 o'clock, I'm going to be having a video with some new Christmas paper. And you don't want to miss all this beautiful paper. And then starting at 10 o'clock, a lot of the Decoupage Central affiliates will be having a 1-hour video on Facebook of different projects from this same line. So make sure to be watching this coming Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. So I'll see you then, and I hope you have a great week. Thank you, friends.